2, 1, and you're live, Chairman.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Overview and Scrutiny Committee on Wednesday, the 23rd of March. My name is Councillor Vanessa Bell, and I am the chairman of this committee. Before we commence the business of the meeting, there are a few housekeeping rules to run through. We are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. Members and officers, during each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak, and I will then invite you at the proper time. When invited to speak, please turn on your microphone and speak clearly. The recording does depend on correct use of the microphones, so even though we can all hear ourselves in here, we do need to use the mics, so thank you. Please reference a page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers. And keep your contributions, please, as clear and concise as possible. And then when you're not speaking, please turn your microphones off. Finally, can I draw your attention to the fire exit, which is the door behind this table and the door over there, and the fact that there are no longer uneven surfaces in the chamber. Okay, apologies for absence. Tara, if I could have the apologies for absence, please.
Yes, Chairman, thank you very much. Apologies have been received from Councillor Miss Beale, Councillor Hubner, Councillor Helm, Councillor Mays and Councillor Schemes. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. We're in a position with item 3 because I'm recommending that the minutes of the meeting held on 20th of January, found on pages 5 to 8, are approved as a true and accurate record. But I think I was the only person here, so where does that leave me procedurally, Sarah?
Chairman, I think it's fine for you to agree them. If you're not happy, we can always defer them to the next meeting.
Well, as far as I remember, they're true and accurate, so I'm happy to agree them. And Councillor Bassinger.
No, I just think, thank you, Chairman. I think I was present, so I can.
I can't remember. You'll be on the minutes.
I should be there. My name should be there.
Be on the minutes. Let's just.
If I am, then I can help you to approve those minutes.
I get confused because we had the crime and disorder in between. So. Where are we? Oh, yes. Hello, you were. I take it back, Councillor Bassinger. Are you happy to agree the minutes?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I am indeed.
Thank you, Councillor Bassinger. Those minutes are agreed. Marvellous. I need to do something about my memory. Okay, item 4, declarations of interest, to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other pecuniary interests, or non-pecuniary interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraphs 6 to 8 inclusive of the Code of Conduct for members. Members are reminded that they are also required to disclose any such interests as soon as they become aware should the need arise throughout the meeting. Members, any? No. Councillor Stamp.
I'm not a member of this committee, but I am actually going to speak. So I don't know if you just wish me to declare that I'm a member of Essex County Council, and I think there's a non-pecuniary interest on any items on the agenda at the moment.
Thank you. Better to be safe than sorry, Councillor Stamp. Thanks very much. Item 5, public participation, and I can advise that we have not received any submissions from members of the public for this meeting. So that brings us on to item 6, the annual report of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which you'll find on pages 11 to 14. So I will now hand over to Ms Hughes, please, to present the report, if you would. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, members. It's within the committee terms of reference to prepare and present an annual report for Council. Officers and the working group of the committee have prepared a suggested report as set out page 9 to 13 of your agenda pack. This highlights the activity that's taken place this year. Section 3.2 details the scrutiny items that closed this year but were agreed in 2021 and provides a summary of what came out of them. Section 3.5 details the proposals we've received from members within the year, including information on what the committee decided and any actions that have come out of investigation work. Members are invited to review the report and feedback on the draft annual report. and the recommendation is that the committee endorses the proposed annual report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms Hughes. I just wanted to raise one issue, which is the self-build register, which was Councillor White's item. Councillor White had actually followed that up and did request that more work was done. However, somehow the email was missed. So we do need to put that back on to the work plan. Now, whether it has to come back to a working group or not, or whether we can just continue with it, I need to take advice from you, please.
Yeah, so the working group are the ones that advised last time because they hadn't heard enough. So my recommendation would be that we take that back to the next working group for a more thorough review.
Okay, thank you. And then I can liaise with Councillor White and be sure that we're absolutely clear on that request. Thank you very much. Members, any comments, questions at all?
Yeah,
Morley?
thank you, Chairman. No, I was. I'd like to know more about the home build as well. It'd be interesting to know, and it's quite interesting. I didn't even really know a lot about it until Councillor White brought it up. So
Yeah,
that'd be much appreciated to find out a bit more about that. Anyway.
Definitely, and I've been contacted by a resident in Burnham, in fact, who's interested. So yeah, that needs to come back. Thank you. If there are no, Councillor Messenger, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just was, again, just to go on about the enforcement, and I do understand that we were waiting to see if there was any improvement in staffing and enforcement. I just have wondered if there has been, in fact, any improvement in staffing with enforcement.
Do we know? Can any of the officers here tonight help us with that?
I know that there was resource agreed, but I'm not sure the details on whether anybody's currently in post or anything like that. I know that also officers were due to report back to committee on this. So I think probably the best thing to do is if I get some more details offline and circulate that to the committee, if that's okay.
That would be great. Is that okay?
That's fine. And perhaps then we could bring that back on if that's possible.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So the recommendation is that we endorse the proposed annual report for 21-22 for submission to the council. Can we agree that by sense? Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. Super. Thank you very much. So then that brings us on to our new scrutiny item, which is item 7, which you'll find on pages 15 to 18. And it's back to you, Ms Hughes, if you would, to present this, please.
So this is a report of the working group who met on the 2nd of March to review a proposal form that was received from Councillor Stamp around the 5-year housing land supply. Appendix A, page 17 to 18 of your agenda pack, provides the request details and preliminary officer review and feedback on the item, as well as some information that came out of the discussion at the working group and their initial consideration. Point 4 on page 19 highlights the suggestions that the working group felt needed further investigation, and the recommendation is that the committee approves the working group recommendation to add this item to the work plan, according to the details set out in section 3.2 of the covering report. For officers to then bring a more detailed report back to the committee for scrutiny. We invite members to review and feedback on this report, obviously noting that the recommendation is to approve the approach suggested in section 3.2. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any comments before I go to Councillor Stamp? No. Councillor Stamp, I would really appreciate your hear your thoughts on the approach and whether that covers what you were hoping for, as far as you can see.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I think it really does need to be looked in and drilled down to the actual detail. I understand that we're not going to the reasons and the terms and conditions of the terms and reference. I'm sorry, Chairman, but we don't really want to find a person at fault. I'm looking more to why it happened, how it happened, why policies weren't in place when the LDP was approved, if there's an actual issue with the inspector when it was approved, the inconsistency which I think is actually happening when we're working out the 5-year land supply, why it was only done on an annual basis, and when officers realised it was becoming critical. To me, it's the horse has already bolted from the stable, and we all know the difficult situation that we're actually in at the moment, and I actually feel it's unacceptable. I think as a council, as I've just said, robust policies and monitoring should have taken place throughout the plan, not that just kicked in after 5 years, which is the legal requirement. The 5-year land supply is totally different to the delivery plan of the houses, because we know that we've actually over-delivered. Yes. And I think you may agree with me, Madam Chair, and other members, if they remember me saying, and trying to get this council to actually write to the Secretary of State on more than one occasion, especially when COVID struck, because we knew there would be a lack of sites coming forward because of the nature of COVID, the pandemic, Madam Chair. I don't believe, and I will apologise if this council has written to this Secretary of State, but I don't believe I've seen a letter. But I just would like to actually bring your attention to Braintree District Council did write to the Secretary of State. And if you would just allow me to read a small part out. This actually was written, I think, in December last year, 2021. So it's fairly recent, but they actually understood the issues that was put in their 5-year land supply at risk, or the developers were, because obviously they were citing it at the time. So I won't read it all, but it says, "It is incredibly frustrating that we find ourselves being continually challenged on our housing supply, or the inspectors to make comments on housing supply in cases where it has little relevance to that decision, even though we can demonstrate the 5-year housing land supply using the government's own method." Now, I know the officers will come back to me and say, well, we can't demonstrate it. But I think, like I've said, there's been inconsistencies with actually working it out. And it says, "Allow an unplanned development to meet what we believe is an inflated 5-year land supply calculation destroys public confidence in the planning system, rides roughshod over strategic plans for infrastructure, and undermines local councillors who've made incredibly difficult decisions to approve large levels of growth and have worked hard to achieve an up-to-date local plan. We want to ensure that a new high-quality housing is developed in sustainable locations across the district, and we fully support the government's objectives to boost housing supply. However, they need to act swiftly and decisively to resolve the matter now and provide the necessary level of certainty to authorities that are fulfilling the government policies." Now, I know that they're going to say, well, we can't, but I think that needs to be taken into consideration, that we should have acted sooner. I don't think it's actually good for residents and for this council that I think many of our residents has lost faith regarding our LDP. I know it's under review, but like I've said, I think that is because it's come because it's been forced. And I'm just really, I'd like it investigated properly, Madam Chair. I don't know if anybody else wants to come in, and I'll just regroup because I've got some other notes. Oh, one more. Do we know when and if our 5-year land supply may come back in? Because, don't forget the strategic sites were supposed to meet the needs of the housing and the LDP. So just because all the sites haven't come forward and we know there's issues, and I actually am going to say it, and I'm sure that some developer will write in and complain about me, I think because we cannot control what speed the developers are bringing sites forward, it is actually, they are playing with us slightly, Madam Chair. These sites have been agreed and they could come forward, and I think because we are in a vulnerable position, I don't feel that some developers are actually supporting us. These applications should have come forward by now. It was in the housing trajectory, and that was over-egged, but I'm really just not convinced about what's gone on with this LDP. And I think my postbag is quite full with residents who are very unhappy with the council. So thank you, Madam Chair.
No, thank you. Likewise, as you know, so is mine. You know, it's the biggest issue. Planning is the biggest issue that irks people. So I wholeheartedly second everything you've said, Councillor Stamp, and that's where we need to go and what we need to know. Councillor Morley, you look like you want to comment.
No, I was just reiterating what Councillor Stamp was saying. I'd like to know when we are, or the predicted time of reaching our housing plan. So,
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
taking
So,
point.
Agreed. Thank you. Anything to add, Councillor Messenger?
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to concur with everything that Councillor Stamp has said as well, and I'd also like to drill down and find out exactly how this situation has arisen, being as we were supposed to be monitoring this.
Yes.
And to be told consistently that this is something that we've inherited is not good enough. So we need to know what's gone on, what the process has been and what it was supposed to have been, and how we've been left in this dreadful state, because people have lost confidence. Absolutely, they've lost confidence. And I do believe, and they can write in as much as they like, developers are having a real giraffe at our expense. So this needs to be drilled down and we need to investigate this. And actually, I would like to know who is responsible, to be honest. Thank you.
Well, I think members and officers, we're absolutely clear there about what we're looking for here. So I am proposing that this item is approved as a scrutiny item, as we have just discussed. Do I have a seconder? Can we agree that by then? Fabulous. So that is agreed. Is that clear, Ms Hughes, what we're expecting there?
Yep. So is everything that was in the report. Just to be clear, I'm not sure we had anything in the report about applications coming forwards. So I'm not sure if that's an amendment that you're suggesting to section 3.2.
I am suggesting that as an amendment, please, if we could. I just think we need to maximise this. We need to leave no stone unturned, so to speak.
I'll second that amendment.
Yes, Councillor Bassenger second that amendment. Are we agreed, Councillor Morley? Yeah, we're agreed on that. Super. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Sand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so maybe there's a couple of things that have been missed, or they just came up just now, really. But it's looking at the whole issue that is exposed. This is what I want to make clear: that has exposed the council to the position that we're in, and why it hasn't been picked up sooner. Why we haven't had the robust information or monitoring or whatever in place.
I think is key, Councillor Stamp.
Yeah,
I really think it is.
Because as what other members have said, and other members have actually voiced concerns, Madam Chair. It's just that I've raised it. But everybody is very, very unhappy that we have got to this stage. So anything that is relevant, and I'd like a full explanation, not a narrow explanation, as in sometimes which we could get. So absolutely. If it could be fully looked at and not narrowly, I think is the best way to say it.
You know, we can always, if we don't get the information we want, we will
bring it back. Thank you.
Super, Councillor Bassenger.
Madam Chair, can we also ask that all the land that has been brought forward, although if accepted or not accepted, is actually made known to us, so we can see all of the sites that have been brought forward? Yes.
So can we do that as part of this, or is that too departing from the item, Ms Hughes? Or can we have that anyway? We should have that anyway.
We should. I mean, I don't know why this information is restricted or it isn't there for us to see.
Can you help?
It does feel like a separate suggestion. I would say the best method for that is maybe to issue a form so that we can look into that more thoroughly, because that does feel separate to the 5-year housing land supply.
Thank you. Do a belt and braces, do an ONS form and a fresh service and see which comes up first.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so any other items of business that the chairman of the committee decides are urgent? I have none. So that means that I now draw the meeting to a close. Members, thank you. Thank you very much for turning out. I really appreciate it. And I do fully understand that several members had genuine commitments or illnesses tonight, but yet again, I want to state my disappointment with the lack of seriousness, shall we say, with which some members take these meetings. So, yeah, very disappointed. Thank you again, those of you who turned up, and I now close this meeting at 19:50.